This is just one of the many times we've walked this path this year in our local countryside. We are on our way again to the Clarion, where like-minded people can meet up and enjoy this lovely location, whatever the season. So let's go back to earlier this year. Set in the beautiful Pendle Countryside, the Clarion House on Ginny Lane, Newchurch, is the last surviving Clarion house in the country. It continues to thrive and is still very popular, especially with the older generation. Open every Sunday, it's a good stopping off place for light refreshments, and it's the cheapest brew in the country.
I used to come here as a little girl. My dad were in Coventry on munitions. It must have been wartime. I used to come here with my mother.
Did you?
When I was, 9, 10 and teenager as well. We came to Clarion a lot. I think it was open for something like Labour.
When the surrounding towns, Nelson, Colne, Briarfield, even Burnley, were full of mills and factories, people who worked in them, the conditions were so poor that on a Sunday, which was their only day off, they needed to come out into the fresh air, cycle or walk. And there was a lot of tradition of walking and cycling. And the I.L.P in Nelson decided that they wanted to have somewhere for people to congregate and meet, have a cup of tea and have a chat and just enjoy the countryside. So they had a couple of rented places in the area, and they weren't big enough because so many people came. So they borrowed £350 from the Weavers' Union in Nelson, and they bought this field and they built this building in 1912, and it's been going ever since. Now we're carrying on that tradition. We still open every Sunday from about 10:30 till about 3:30 or 4, and people still come. They walk and they ramble, and obviously they're not in the same conditions that they were then, but they just appreciate and love the countryside, and it's in such a beautiful spot, and we try to keep the grounds as natural as possible. So this area here is lightly managed. First of all, we raked off and cut back all the weeds and grasses, and we've deliberately sowed things like yellow rattle, which suppresses the grasses, but we also put other wildflower mixtures in. And some of you might recognise this flower. It's a cowslip. So there are lots of other, there's oxeye daisies and lots of other varieties, but we started to get orchids on that piece of land over there, which is much wilder than this. And strangely, once we'd cleared this of some of the grasses, the orchids started to appear here too. So not only have we got wildflowers that have established themselves and the yellow rattle, we've got the orchids now that are establishing themselves on this wildflower meadow too. When they're all out, this field is covered in butterflies, and it's just such a treat and a pleasure. We had a pond years ago which we puddled and with clay, and over the years it's cracked and the water's gone. So we decided last year to put in a liner, and we've slowly been regenerating the pond, and we are so happy that it's finally coming to fruition. So we've got tadpoles and newts and plants and all sorts of wildlife.
We're really pleased with how level we got it and how we'd hid the liner, but we did not know how bad, when the rain came, it would trap all the water underneath the liner and push the liner up, so it looked awful and we had a major problem. We have dug out a channel to drain the water from underneath, and it's worked. So the water now, when it comes down the hill, instead of staying underneath the liner, it's got an escape, all the way down into the boggy part down there. And I'm now going to put some piping in and some chippings on top so the drainage carries on through the year, and we'll see if it does it again this winter. Just chuck it down and hope for the best. There's a nice big entrance up there, but I can't get rid of this water, so I'm chucking it in. It's really coming on now, and I'm just so satisfied. I'm so glad that we decided to do it, and we took the risk, and we've persevered, and now look at it. We've got life that would never have been here. So now we have got pond life.
Up here in Lancashire, we still have the characteristic damp flowering meadows, which are managed and looked after by the volunteers of the Clarion.
So I'm one of the friends of the Clarion House, and we meet here once a month. We do gardening activities, we help to look out for the building. What we're doing today, or what I'm doing today, is pulling out some of the roseberry willow herb. This area here we want to clear. We're trying to reduce the amount of roseberry willow herb. We'll still allow it to grow at the edges because it's a good habitat for wildlife, but we just want to clear this area. So that's what we're doing today. Just pulling out, it comes out quite easily, just pulling out the roseberry willow herb, and we'll then put it on the compost heap.
It's the end of June now, and our wildflower meadow is probably at its very best, particularly the orchids, which are so beautiful, but the butterflies that come onto this meadow are unbelievably beautiful as well.
We are so lucky to have this unique amenity in such a lovely setting. We're now coming up to the middle of July, and it's another beautiful day. It's just great to sit here and appreciate our wonderful countryside, which is on our doorstep. We're well into July, as I said earlier, and the pond's really cleared and it's looking good. There's plenty of damselflies, and I've just seen a dragonfly or two. Every month, the committee and friends of the Clarion meet up for their committee meetings and any maintenance that needs to be carried out. A new information board has just been erected, giving information about the wildlife area.
And so there's bits of holly and different sorts of vegetation that is just like ready to catch you in the middle of your eye, like this bit here. And that is the problem. So people they're forced into this vegetation.
This year, the annual barbecue was held in the middle of August.
When does it start?
This has been our traditional yearly family barbecue, and this has probably been the most successful year we've had. We've run out of food early, despite buying more than we normally do. Children are having a great time, plenty of family activities, and we're looking forward to next year's.
The year has almost gone full circle, but every season has its own beauty. A warm fire and welcome is always guaranteed, along with a hot brew of tea and a variety of snacks. Because the Clarion is only open on Sundays, the bird feeders have to be topped up more than once a week, so volunteers come up midweek to top them up.
We've had a lovely year this year. We've had a lot of things going on. We had a lovely barbecue in the summer, and obviously the get-together of all the cyclists from all over the country for Clarion Sunday. And also the meadow, we've had the meadow scythed, and that was a lovely day. The meadow scything down the wildflowers, which you'll have seen previously. And the seeds were then collected and kept, and people could take them away if they wanted to further spread the wildflowers, which we loved this year. The pond's looking great, it's becoming much more naturalised, and today it's a beautiful snowy day, but it's part of the seasons, and it's finishing off the year beautifully. And the choir will be coming in a few weeks to sing obviously winter songs and choir carols and things like that, and a bit of mulled wine and mince pie. So that'll be a lovely end to the year.
Born on David's line, a Saviour who is Christ the Lord, and this shall be the sign. Sweet bells, sweet chiming Christmas bells, sweet bells, sweet chiming Christmas bells, they cheer us on our